What is going on, guys? This is Gene Jensen, and it is time for another Friday Night Live. What is up? What is up? I know we don't have anybody jumping on here yet, but y'all are about to. So, how's everybody doing today? It is 9 o'clock, and it's time to get rocking and rolling. How's everybody? Goodness. It's funny how it starts out with zero and all of a sudden, whole bunch of people jump on. Well, it has been a pretty nice week. It hadn't been too hot. Got out and did a little bit of fishing. Caught one big one, and I lost a big one. I got Michael in the house with me. He's sitting off to the side. How big do you think that one was I lost? More than 20 inches.
Maybe.
So, because the one I just caught was 19 3/4, and it was bigger than that one. So, yeah, it was
I was too focused on those I was catching.
Well, you weren't catching anything. You didn't catch nothing right there. What is up? Goodness, Stephen Guthrie, you better be there tomorrow morning on time. We got a little shindig going on at 10:30 tomorrow. It's gonna be fun. Team Fluke Master from Knuckleheads is having a team get together, and we're gonna eat and then go fishing. That'll be a whole lot of fun. So, man, oh man. Ken Burke says, "What's up, Fluke? Ready for some football? You better know I am." Good gosh, I'm tired of watching videos about Georgia football. I want to go watch football. So, Shane Garza, what's up? Nick DeLeo, how you doing, man? From Connecticut. I got some dust or something hanging from my head. Butterflies. Anyway, Greg Dudley, what's going on? It was a warm day today, though. Good gosh. So, Kelly Wendell, what's up? Oh, let's see. He goes, "Thanks for the videos you suggested to my fiance for me, and I caught a huge bass today." That's awesome, Kelly. Congratulations. That's awesome. Sergio Michael Olstrit says, "I watch your videos all the time. It's a big help. Thank you." That's awesome, man. Jeremy Ham, what's up, man? It said, "We know these 67-degree mornings in the South are all lies." It's been nice, though. But the bass here they haven't bit they don't bite until like 2 o'clock in the afternoon and when it's hot. And then they'll bite until just before sundown, and then it dies off. So, goodness. Gene, do you go by Barry? Yeah, Barry's right at the top of the mountain, or just over the top of the mountain for me right here. So, yeah, the House of Dreams, I can see the lights from if I look out in my backyard. Actually, it's over there. So, Gino Jones from Wisconsin, man, I wish I was up there right now. Good gosh, that's my favorite area of the country to fish right now this time of the year. So, Zachary Brooks, what's up? Justin 540, how you doing, man? He says, "Hey, Gene, love your videos." This is Zachary. He says, "Hey, Gene, love your videos and podcast. Been binge listening for the last week. I just picked up my first 13 fishing combo today. Got the Blackout Kalon A combo. That's awesome. That's awesome. Let's see. We got anything going on besides tomorrow? KBF announced their Challenge Series Championship, Trail Series Championship, the Invitational that's all going to be held on Gunnersville and Wheeler. And then the 10 is going to be held on a lake that I fished actually called Duck River Reservoir in Alabama. So that ought to be a really cool tournament. I want to win the Invitational so I can fish it. That would be awesome. But yeah, that's the only thing I know that's going on, really. Tournaments are starting to wind down. Football season starts, and then y'all stop watching my videos. It's funny. It's like as soon as football season starts, the videos, the interest in fishing goes to hunting, and it's just like, no more views. It's all right, though. So, Shane Garza, he says, he's talking to Zachary. I'll let you go. The Rooster 95, is live scope a must for tournament fishing, or could skills still hold up in a $100 finder fish finder? Yeah, or a $500 fish finder. Yeah, I think it's all about what's between your ears, man. It really is, especially in the fall when they start getting shallow. For the tournaments I'm fishing in October, November, I don't see myself even having a front facing sonar or on my kayak at all. So it's just the fish are going to be so shallow. It's going to be about covering water and hitting specific things. So Damon is in the house. What's up, Damon? Michael says hi.
My man.
So Nick Cowan, what's up? Ken Burke, thanks, man. I appreciate you. Nick D'Elia, so you can use sonar in a tournament. Yeah, you sure can. Shoot, something just popped in my head and it went right back out. And I was gonna say something about some stuff that's going on. I'm still guiding. As a matter of fact, I got a guide trip this next week. Probably next season I'll start guiding Gunnersville. It'll be good and fun. Susan Kelly, how are you? That's an old friend from Augusta. Next time I get to South Carolina, I'm going to go see your daughter and her man at their little breakfast place because I love a good biscuit anyway. I'm going to inspect their biscuits and make sure somebody taught them how to cook them. So, Ray Frazier, hey Gene, what's up, brother? What's up, Ray? Elizabeth Z's in the house. She said, thanks for letting me know it was okay to purchase a new sonar unit. Oh man, I don't even want to talk about how much I put way too much money in my sonar, or too much sonar on my kayak this time, but it's worth it. I just got to get all the bugs out of it and figure it out. Lowrance is a lot more complicated than Garmin's, that's for sure. But once I get everything figured out, I think they'll be a lot better. So let's see. Damon has an Airbnb that he is finally up and running in Gunnersville. So anybody looking for a place to stay in Gunnersville, it is downtown and it's an awesome little place. Got a boat parking and everything else. So I told him he could get on here and talk and mention that. So it'd be pretty cool. Is topwater good to use year round? Topwater works when the bass are shallow and active. So if it's a time of the year where they're not shallow active or the weather has pushed them out, it's not good. What I always look for is signs that they're up shallow, like fish busting or even bait fish being super shallow. You typically can get somewhat of a good topwater bite when they're up shallow. So, tell Evan I said hello, Susan. I love y'all. Tell your husband I said hi too. I miss you guys. Dave Lefebvre's on here. Oh crap! I better look good. No, I'm just kidding. What's up, Dave? Oh man, I need to get up there, but it's not going to be this year. So, but the invitation still stands. If you're down here in the South and your travels, man, come hit me up. We catch at least 1 over 6 pounds every day. How many you catch today?
I caught 2 over 6 today.
2 over 6 today. I caught 1. Could have been 2 yesterday, but I got a wussy hook set and didn't get one in. So yeah, come say hi. It'd be a lot of fun. So Lip and Rip says I always throw to top water. That's what he meant to say. Oh goodness. Michael Miller, I would rent the Airbnb, but I'm afraid of heights. Oh, my buddy Michael that's sitting right here has a couple of Airbnbs, so that's kind of funny. I like that. Well, a couple of them are on stilts, aren't they?
Yeah, they are.
That makes it even funnier. Yeah, they're on the river, so they're down on the floodplain. So he's got 2 of them on stilts. So, goodness gracious, that's hilarious. Oh goodness, Chuck Norris. I hope you're not the real Chuck Norris. Isn't he dead? No, he's not. He can't die. He's just old. When fishing in Texas rig, how you determine what inch worm do you throw? So many inch choices. It's all about confidence. And if I had to put it into words as to what I do, in the spring, pre-spawn, and during the spawn, I'm throwing creature baits that are about as wide as your hand. Not long as your hand, about wide as your hand. And then go check see if he's there. And then as the water warms up and gets into the 70s, I go longer, 7 inches. And then in the heat of the summer, I'm throwing 10, 11, 12-inch worms and dragging them as slow as I can. And as it starts to cool off and they start to concentrate mostly on bait fish, in the fall, I get rid of worms altogether and I start throwing bait fish patterns. So take it with a grain of salt. That's about what it's like, though, for me at least. Not yet. I got somebody dropping a cake off. So that's what Michael's sitting here listening for the door. Oh, goodness. Chris Curtis, what's up, man? What is up? How about a fluke on a drop shot in late summer? I do that in clearer water. But lately, I haven't been fishing. Well, that's a lie. Because Monday, Tuesday of this week, I fished up in the North Carolina mountains. And it was real clear. But normally, I don't fish really clear water. So in the late summer, if I was on like Lanier or a Highland reservoir that's got really, really clear water, I'll throw a little tiny fluke or a fluke junior on a drop shot. That's for sure. Actually, that's what I learned to fish a drop shot with was one of the little baby flukes. So let's see. Jeremy Ham says Chuck beats up death. He's 10 minutes out. So goodness. Wow. David Myers said water temps were 95 degrees last weekend. I'm thinking about taking ice bags with me tomorrow. I think, David, aren't you in Texas? Gosh almighty, that's hot. And I've done that. What I've done the days that I've been really successful in super hot temperatures, of course, go deep, but I look for current. Even if it's in the middle of the lake, I look for a place where the river channel swings up against a point and pushes current up over that point. And that'll push the bait so that the oxygen level is below the point, but because the current pushes up against that point, that oxygen level goes over top of that point and the bass will be up high and it's like a pinch point. In other places, of course, get back in the back of creeks or rivers and go up into the current. And then, of course, and then green grass will have, that's under the water like hydrilla produces oxygen for you. So. Let's see. TJ last name says, hey man, I sent you a Facebook message like you asked about that 13 fishing part you had. Oh yeah, I'll go check it. I'll check it. So I'm real bad at checking my messages. I have to remember to do it, or they get lost because I get so many of them during the day. David Mitchell, hi Gene. I can't catch them on anything I throw here in Arkansas. Man, trying to think. That was in Kentucky. I don't think I've fished Arkansas ever, but it should be. I mean, a bass is a bass. But find some hard bottom, drag a jig, and drag a worm on like points and drops and things like that this time of the year. So, and if you're bank fishing, just go to the steeper banks to where the deep water is closest to the shallow water. Let's see. What's the best to use when water starts to get down into the 50s or 60s? Water or wind or air? I don't pay any attention to the air temperature except for my own comfort. But when the water temperature gets down to the 60s, I'm throwing moving baits. I'm throwing spinner baits, buzz bait, crank baits, chatter baits, moving baits. And I'm staying super shallow, going towards the backs of creeks and just casting and winding is what I'm doing. Trying to bump into everything I can. If it's muddy water or if it's stained water, I'm trying to bump into stuff because the bass are going to be up shallow. That's where the bait fish are going to be. And as it gets further and further into the fall, even into November, they're still up super shallow. But once that water gets down to 53 and below, they start to pull back out and they start to get pretty lethargic. So Ray Frazier, will we get another dove hunting video this year? I got to go ride my e-bike down to the dove field down the road and take a look at it and see what it looks like. But yeah, my sons will not, and my daughter won't let Labor Day weekend go by without us going dove hunting. So we will see. What do you look for when there's a drought on a flowage? I don't know. I don't know what a flowage is. Not a clue. Let's see. Oh, Wes Stevens says jerkbait season is upon us here in Michigan. I remember. Yeah, I was up in. Actually, I was on Mille Lacs this time of the year a couple of years ago, and I was throwing everything but a jerkbait. I grabbed a jerkbait and in about 8 foot of water, and I started ripping it around on this flat, and they came unglued to hit that thing. So yeah, oh man, that'd be fun. Smallmouth on a jerkbait's nothing but fun. So, what's your go-to lure when fish aren't biting much? A Ned rig. If I had to pick one right now, it'd be a Ned rig because it catches everything. You just have to slow down. Even when it's this hot, I slow down with everything. So a tsunami will hit next year. Love to see you fish what we have here in Wilmington, North Carolina called Sutton Lake. Seen one come from the lake at 13 pounds. That's awesome. I'm not good at catching those real giants. I got this like 10-pound blocker. I don't know what it is. What is it? This year I've caught 7, 8, somewhere between 7 and 10 over 9 pounds, but nothing double digit. It's crazy. So, Brian Brokaw, he says it's 91.5 here in Orlando. Nope. That's why I don't show up to Orlando until January. You guys can have that mess. That's for sure. Oh, goodness. Let's see. Any tips on spotted bass? I'm going this October over here in Mississippi. Also, thanks. Spotted bass are typically pretty aggressive, a lot more than largemouth. And so I typically, for spotted bass, I'll speed up quite a bit. A good swim bait will work, a good jerk bait. I was talking to a couple of guys this last week when I was up in North Carolina, and they fish for spotted bass with glide baits, with big glide baits all the time. So, and October would be prime for that because they'll be up shallow and really, really feeding hard. So, how fast am I retrieving my chatterbait? This time of the year, barely off the bottom. I mean, I am doing everything but dragging it is what I'm doing. So it's slow rolling it. Let it fall down, let it hit the bottom, and just slowly roll it back where I can just barely feel the blade, but it's still kicking up dirt at the same time. So definitely. Who donated $5? Ace Camper, what's up, man? Thanks for the $5 on Super Chat. I appreciate it. He says, any suggestions for what to throw on Lake Champlain early October? Gosh, I literally, what we were just talking about, I throw a jerkbait is what I would in October. So Champlain's typically starting to really, really get good and cold then. Throw a jerkbait and a jig, and then I'd even throw a swim jig, but slow rolling it, or a chatterbait like we were just talking about. So, some of you guys are hilarious. Let's see. Robert B. Fishing, been struggling at Rocky Mountain here recently. Just can't seem to get on a bite other than the small bluegill on a rooster tail. We're still catching them. I'm still catching them on jigs, but dude, take that with a grain of salt. I can catch one on a jig just about anywhere. That's my confidence bait. But the biggest thing is lately they haven't been biting until the mid afternoon. Into 2 o'clock, sometimes into 3 or 4. You're not going to get a lot of bites. You're going to get 2 or 3. Everything's offshore right now. On the East Lake, the thermocline was like 17 feet yesterday. And so I was seeing fish on rock piles deep on the East Lake. Is big worm season over yet? Nope. I don't stop throwing a big worm until the water temperature starts to fall and gets down into the low 80s and then into the 70s. So that's when I'm like, oh, I put them aside and I start throwing moving baits or things that I fish a little bit faster. So have I ever fished in Ohio? No, I've hunted in Ohio, but I've never fished there. Matt Dillon says, at least you got that. I'm on a 2-week slump. All I have caught is a stick and a few trees. New Canoe Unlimited. This is my opinion on New Canoe Unlimited. I have never been in one. I've got really good buddies that I trust their opinion. They love it. They love the Unlimited. It's wide. It's stable. You can put an XI3 on the front of it really easy. You can stand up and fish out of it. It's a really, really good boat. They love it. I don't like the totally open cockpit plan. I like to be able to have little places to stick things, and I like the drawer under my seat and that kind of stuff. But like I said, I've never been in one, so I can't tell you that whether I'm going to like it or not. But everybody that I know that has one really likes it. So, drought on the lake. Where to start looking? Let's see. When was the last time I fished a really bad drought? The water's low. I always try to pay attention to whether the water's falling or rising. So if the water's falling in a drought, they're going to be pulled out just a little bit. I'd start looking on outside drops, and any kind of cover and I know it's sparse, but they typically will pull down into the middle of a ditch or come out onto the main lake and sit on points. But they don't know there's no drought. They're still wet. I mean, if the water is still in the lake, they still know that they're still wet. All they know is what their surroundings are. So they don't know that there hasn't been any rain for a while. So favorite sunblock while fishing. I still use Bullfrog is what I still use. So I don't typically use sunblock these days. I always am wearing long pants and a long sleeve shirt with covers over my hands, and I got a hood on and hat on, and matter of fact, I had my sun hat on, my big build sun hat on yesterday. So. Thomas Goodner says, I got some chartreuse JJ's Magic. Now I'm dying to try it. That's awesome, man. That is awesome. Go watch that video I made 100 years ago about how to use JJ's and how to store it. That's the most important thing, is how to store it, because it can, if it's laying on its side and it changes temperature quite a bit, it tends to leak out or evaporate out. So let's see. Ever heard of Johnson reels? Found one just lying on the ground and it still works. I think it's a Century model. I have, but it's been 100 years since I've heard of Johnson reels. Yeah, I don't think those have been made in a long time. So Jerry Catula, help all as well, Gene. What would be your choice of baits on Lake Murray, South Carolina this time of year? Water temps in the mid 80s. Thanks. I am looking for schooling fish, so I'm throwing topwater. It's a blueback herring lake, so this time of the year they're schooling out on the main points and main humps. That, or I'm fishing Carolina rigs and jigs, and throwing flukes around offshore humps and long points. That typically is where they'll set up, because blueback herring, which is their preferred bait fish or their preferred food, get out to the middle of the lake, and so the bass will follow them, but they'll associate with offshore structure a lot more so than if there weren't any blueback herring. So how do you store your JJ's Magic? So I keep it in an airtight Tupperware container, and I always try to keep it upright. If it's laying on its side and it gets warm or it gets hot, it will leak out. People say it explodes, but it doesn't. It just leaks out, and because the lid is designed to release and pressure is what it's designed to. It's not toxic. It's, it's not going to kill you or anything else, but it's just it's just temperature sensitive. So always store it upright. Don't ever lay it on its side, and keep it in a container that'll keep it upright. So my whole garage smells like JJ's. You know what I call it? I call it my mother-in-law repellent, because my mother-in-law thinks that she's allergic to garlic. So back when, I used to open it up in my garage, and 15 or 10 to 12 hours later, she'd be packing up and going home. So mother-in-law repellent. Hope she's not watching. Greg Allen Moore says, "Go Dogs." Yes, sir. He said, "What should I throw in the evenings on the hill right now?" What did I used to throw? The hill's changed so much since I fished it last. I know there's a lot more spotted bass on the south end than there ever was when I was fishing it. Let's see, what did I used to throw this time of the year late? I always like to throw like buzz baits, that kind of stuff. Take a buzz bait, rip the skirt off, put a horny toad on there. I'm gonna bring up some JJ's Magic only because this is a color that I really love on Clark's Hills. I'd take a white horny toad and soak it, dip it all the way in methylate JJ's Magic, and turn it bubble gum. And I throw bubble gum horny toads on a buzz bait all summer long, and it was usually a pretty good little fun little thing to catch it on. So let's see. Rattlestrap. Hey, Gene, can't stay long. Quick question, though. What can you use to wash your hands before going fishing to wash off all the chemicals and junk from the day on your hands? I start with Gojo if I've been like working on my engines or working in greasy stuff. I'll start with Gojo or Dawn dishwashing detergent, and that's it. I never worry about anything other than that. So. Josh Ward, do you think they school up in a 2 to 3 acre lake, maybe 13 feet deep? Yes, they can. If that's the only place there's oxygen, they'll definitely be there. So, TJ's has been watching your videos since the Bass Resource videos. Wow. Proud to say I've become the fisherman I am today because of your tip and videos. So thank you for all you've done in the community. Appreciate it, man. That's awesome. Freaking Bass Resource Days. That's a long time. Can y'all believe I've been doing this for about, at least 13 years, maybe 14. That's nuts. That's nuts. I didn't have any of this gray crap. I had it up in my hair, but I didn't have any of this gray crap before I started making videos for you guys. So JJ's Magic ruins if it gets too hot. I've never had it ruin. But I have, the thing is I always try to keep it cool. I keep it in a compartment in my boat, or I keep it in a cooler if it's super hot. I always try to keep it upright. And then when you open it, you just open it like somebody just shook up a can of, or a bottle of Coke and gave it to you. You just slowly open it, release the pressure, dip it. You good. So Derby on the Duck River Reservoir in the morning. Going to be fun. Dude, that was the coolest lake that I've fished in a long time. I wished I could have spent a few more than just a half a day there. It was a really, really cool lake. It was deep, had a lot of offshore structure. It was just my kind of lake, and I caught probably 10 or 12 fish, most of them on the same exact spot. It was fun. It was a lot of fun. Gene, I mainly fish the lakes along the Coosa River here in Alabama this fall. Should I add a trailer to my spinnerbaits? Yes, but just a little split tail trailer. Trust me on this one. Just a simple split tail trailer is all you get. And you won't need a trailer hook. For some reason, whenever I use a trailer, like a little, not much of one, but a little trailer, they hit really hard. So. Alex, what is going on, Barrett? Man, I love you, bro. He says, "What's up from Germany, my dude? What are you doing back in Germany, bro? Golly, you still got my phone number. You know you do. Love you, man. Me and Alex has been friends since, gosh, we were kids, little bitty kids. So, heard you talk about it before, but can you go over how to fish a high pressure lake?" Okay, so my trick is one, I always make sure that I know more than everybody else. I spend a whole lot of time doing my research. I've got new electronics on my kayak, and tomorrow after we're done with our little get together we're having it in the morning, we're all going fishing. Well, I'm going to help them catch a couple of fish, but I'm literally going to put my rods down and zigzag around the lake and make maps, mark structure, mark all the stuff I need to mark on my new fish finder. And I'll do that for 3 or 4 days. I always make sure that I know the lake better than everybody else. I find offshore humps and points and drops. I find offshore hard spots. I'm really, really spending a lot of time on my electronics focusing. But the biggest thing is if you don't have electronics, you aren't able to do that. If you want to do it right now, is throw something super small, finesse, go really, really slow or really, really fast. And number two is throw a big worm or a jig, same thing. 9 times out of 10, I'm dragging super slow. But maybe if the wind starts to pick up, it starts to get a little bit more active, I'll start reeling fishing really, really fast. But the biggest thing is know your body of water better than anybody else. So TJ, that ain't even nice, man. TJ says, I didn't have any gray when I started watching your videos. Oh, Rattlestrap was something else. I was talking to my dad about my great grandpa. He swore up and down about spitting on your worm, and he caught fish when nobody else did. Any truth? Just old timer fish stories. I have never heard that. I never have. Let me sit up. That's kind of crap. But no, I've heard the thing about using WD-40, and that's never worked for me. But I've never heard about spitting on it. Maybe they had a big old wad of Red Man in their cheek or something. Who knows? Huh. Ken Burke, I heard your son earlier, and I thought, dang, he's grown. Been watching for 5 years. No, that was Michael Musgrove. That was a buddy of mine. He's camping out here at Rocky and fishing this week, so he came over to hang out. Let's see. Good luck tomorrow, Brandon Pickens. He says I'm heading out tomorrow for Big Smallmouth and Muskie. Dude, that'd be awesome. Bass Resource Days. I think I remember a clean shaven Gene. Yeah, I had a goatee. So when I got out of the Army, when I was in the Army, I always looked like I was 5 years younger than my wife, and I'm older than her, but my baby face and my genetics, I always look younger than I really am. So as soon as I got out of the Army, she made me start growing facial hair. So I had a goatee for the longest time. And now it's all, now I got a stinking beard. Let's see. Best search bait this time of the year? Oh gosh. Okay. My best search bait this time of the year is slow rolling a jig. I hardly ever stop reeling it, but I'm reeling it as slow as I can to where it stays on the ground. So it's like I'm throwing it out, I let it land on the bottom, and I'm doing this with a 7:3-to-1 gear ratio reel, and I'm reeling this slow. And so I didn't tell you guys that. Don't repeat it. Don't tell nobody. Y'all look at my dog. He's like, I want out. Let me out. Let me out. There's people outside. Hold on. Let me let my dog out. Go get him. Oh. All right. Let's see. It's a good question. Matthew Wadsager. He says, I don't hear much about peacock bass. Where can you find them? And do you use the same tackle to catch them? They're Miami South. And so you basically from the Miami airport in the canals and in those areas, south is where they typically are hanging out. And they're super aggressive. You can catch them on mostly moving baits. just work the canals. Best thing to do is find a local that fishes for him and let him show you the ropes. But typically it's pretty cool. They do work. They do. You can fish them with pretty aggressive techniques. The white boat was so 90s. It was tan, Josh. It was tan. It was not white. Thomas Goodner, he says, mine got too hot and had black blobs floating in it. Yeah, that was from dipping your plastics, your Z-Man plastics and watching them disappear in the JJs. So what do you think of the Bonafide P127? You ever make that your new fishing rig in the future? I have one. My problem is I have in the Army, I injured my hip and I can't pedal like this. Like I can't do it sitting down. I can pedal a bicycle just fine. But if I'm sitting down with my feet up, I can't pedal like this. And it just starts to flare up. And I literally can't walk for about 2 weeks if I spend a day on a pedal drive. So I have a P127. It's for sale, Christian, if you want to hit me up on Facebook. But if I could pedal it, I love it. I've been on it twice. It's got plenty of room. It's really fast. It's stable. It turns really, really good. The pedal drive, it's pretty efficient. But like I said, I can't do that action, and it sucks too. So, but anyway, it's a good boat though. And you can stand up and fish out of it for days. The one thing I didn't like about it is the seat was about 2 inches too low, but I think if I put like a seat pad in there, it'd be just fine. Vance Hicks, he says, it is still too hot for me and I am pouring sweat like a fountain. I'm not having fun. If I'm after bass or bluegill, is there a method for fishing at night? I like fishing the farm ponds. Dude, at night, throw topwater, throw a frog. You can get by with bad casts. Don't have a headlamp turned on. Have one on your head because you're going to need it, but don't have one turned on. Just work the banks with a frog in the shallows, and you'll be just fine. Yeah, dude, that's a lot of fun. So, Justin Faircloth, what's up, man? How are you? Let's see. Chris Stoney says, I also go back to the Bass Resource Days fishing Lake Hartwell in the morning. Ugh. Yeah, that's what I figured too. I do not like Lake Hartwell in the summertime, that's for sure. I barely like it in the wintertime or in the fall. Let's see. Gene, I'm surprised you don't have a bulldog. So my dog's name is Packer, named after the Green Bay Packers, and I did not name him. He was a rescue dog that a friend of mine had years ago. My friend got transferred from Augusta to Washington State. He's a psychiatrist in the military, and he couldn't take his dog with him. So Packer was about 2 years old when we got him, and we've had him for seven years. And so good dog, barely ever barks, only barks when somebody knocks on the door. Really, really, one of my favorite dogs anyway. So Al Bassett. Hey, Al, he says, JJ's is great stuff. It is, man. And Al's been guiding for longer than most of us have been breathing air. Sorry, bro. Ken Ramsey, Gina bought an aluminum bass boat because of you 4 years ago. When can we see you take the 10 rig out? I'm actually selling it. And I miss it. I wish well, I don't wish I'd have sold it because I needed to sell that one, and I may end up getting a new one. But I love fishing out of a kayak, and the kind of stuff I want to do over the next couple, 2 or 3 years. I really don't need a boat sitting in the yard collecting dust and breaking from not being used. So I'm actually getting ready to sell it. So let's see. Shane Garza got a bass tracker last month, but didn't. But the trolling motor doesn't have pinpoint. Didn't realize how much I love that thing on my kayak. Yeah, you know what we used to do when we bought boats in when I was at Clark's Hill is we would immediately pull the whatever trolling motor had on it, sell it, use the money to buy us our bigger trolling motor because we were always fishing in heavy winds. I mean, even my 14-foot John boat with a little 8-horse tiller, it had a 50-pound thrust trolling motor on the front so I could fish in heavy winds. And so we would, pull whatever trolling motor was on there because it was never strong enough, sell it, and then turn around and buy another one. So Justin Tritt, what's up, man? Says, how's the guiding business treating you? Pretty good. I get 2 trips a month, I think, in 2 out of 10 days, and I'm only guiding 10 days a month. That's not too bad. I wished it was more, but it's kind of been fun, kind of relaxing. So, but next year I think I'm going to start heading to Guntersville. I'm hoping to make enough money to be able to get an RV and stick it out there and start guiding full time out of Guntersville. So, let's see. Would you recommend a trolling motor with pinpoint or a power pole? Trolling motor with pinpoint. Only I keep power poles on my kayak only when I'm in real shallow grassy water. So if I know I'm fishing backwaters at Guntersville, I have it on, or if I'm in Florida, I have it on. But other than that, no matter what time of the year it is, I'd rather have pinpoint. Brett Cummings, you fishing this weekend? I have a little derby on hard labor tomorrow. Dude, I would love to fish a derby on hard labor. I love that lake. And I know the trees, the submerged pine saplings are starting to rot out and go away. So it's starting to be my kind of lake, being an offshore lake. That would be a lot of fun for sure. There's a lot of really cool offshore stuff on that lake. Give it 3 or 4 more years. I think it's going to be a new best of Georgia type lakes. It'd be really nice. So Greg Mosier, hey Gene, almost the end of the year already. Hope you enjoyed the fishing season. We don't have a fishing season down here, Greg. We have a all year season, but yeah, it's been fun. It's slowing down because most people are going deer hunting or football or that kind of stuff, but it ain't slowing down for me. I've shot enough deer in my life. I don't need to get out there and pound them. If I need deer in the freezer, which I don't, I got 4 in the freezer from my kids. But if I need a deer in my freezer, I'd step out on my back porch and pop one off in the backyard. So, let's see. Josh Ward will trade you a bass trip for cobia, drum, striper, speckled trout, and sheep's head. We might have to talk. So let's see. Come on and hop in with me. I'm rolling solo. I'm the Torpedo guy from iCast. I remember you now, Brett. I can't. I've got the Knucklehead tournament that me and Chad Hoover and a bunch of other YouTubers put on. I've got my team meeting tomorrow that I put together. We're having a potluck, and I've got a bunch of stuff that sponsors sent me for my teammates, and so I'm going to give away a bunch of stuff to them tomorrow. I'm going to video it because it's going to be a cool, a cool video. We're gonna have a lot of fun. So I got two Boston butts on the smoker out on the back porch, and so we're gonna eat good too for sure. Because I didn't get my fine physique by eating sticks and twigs and grass. So it's awesome, man. Oh man, you can sure tell it's football season because there's only 96 people watching. But man, that would be fun. I would love to fish hard labor. That would be a blast for sure. Let's see. I think my comments froze because that's not normal for it to go that long without a comment. Yeah, we'll let it pop back up. Something else is going on. What is it? Guide trips. Dude, I can't remember. Cannot remember. let's talk. I want to talk a little bit about knucklehead, the knucklehead tournament. So basically, those of you guys have been watching the whole year, knucklehead tournaments is we pick 8 or 9 or 10 YouTubers that have a following, and they hold individual tournaments. And there's 4 of them. They're 1 month long tournaments, and the winner of each of those months gets to qualify for my fishing team. And they've already done it. We did it March, April, May, and June this year. Next year we're going to do it like June, July, August, or May, June, July, August, or something like that. But there's a ton of stuff to give away. There's a ton of stuff, and they're only $15 a tournament. And then this team, we fished together as a team on Gunnersville in November. And then the 4 winners get to divide the winnings amongst themselves. So the winning team wins $10,000, and you divide that amongst 4 people, and they walk home with some pretty good change. Chad and I will be giving away a kayak. We're going to be giving away rods, reels, boxes, tackle boxes, a bunch of stuff. So it's a lot of fun. So, matter of fact, Damon right there is a member of my team, so he better be on time tomorrow. Let's see. What color crankbait do you typically throw? I usually start with a white, something like sexy shad-ish, but I like the chartreuse sexy shad. And if I'm in a lake, like a pond or a lake that has a lot of bluegill, I'll even start with one that I make sure has an orange belly. And then I'll go from that to a chartreuse and black in muddy water, and that's typically it. I don't have a whole lot of different colors that I throw. So, rumors of a new SS-127? I can't say nothing about that. I've signed NDAs but bona fide. So I can tell you that there is not a new SS-127. I can promise you that. But I can't say that there's not a new boat coming out. That's one of the other things. So, what would your approach to fishing out of a kayak without electronics this time of the year? If I was to fish out of a kayak without electronics, there would be 2 places I would be. I would be in a river with a lot of current, or I'd be in backwaters with lots of grass and lots of shallow things to throw to. I would not be out on the main lake trying to fish points and humps like I like to do this time of the year. I am blind as a bat with no electronics, and I'll be the first to admit that I cannot comfortably fish offshore, even in a lake that I know like the back of my hand, but I can't do it without electronics. So this time of the year in the heat, I'm going to be in the current, or I'm going to be back in the backs of the creeks if I don't have electronics. Any lake recommendations in Kentucky, Indiana, and Ohio? The only lake that I have fished in any of those 3 lakes or 3 states is Laurel River Reservoir, where I won that tournament last year in Kentucky. Other than that, I have not fished up there. And I told my wife last year that I would love to go up and fish there in the late summer. But unfortunately, the economy and the lack of income has made us kind of pull the strings back and say, okay, we're going to stay home and stay close to home and save money, because we don't know what next year's going to be. We definitely don't, not with the way the economy's going. So we're being smart and kind of staying close to home. Josh Ward, are we okay? Where are we with the BFS game yet? I finally have a rod that I like. And so I'm going to play around with it, but I'm going to wait until the water starts to cool off, because right now the only thing I can catch a fish on is a jig and dragging a Texas rig. Yep. Let's see. All right, Chris Curtis, it says, so you're telling me that you were beyond a backup for the way there is subtle water. Greg said, I don't know what that means. Anyway, I meant to click on this one. It says, heard you say crankbait is hard to use fishing on the bank, gets easily caught in the weeds and things. When do you use a crankbait? So I use a crankbait when I can get to where I can take it off of snags and stuff like that. So I'll throw a square bill as close to the bank. So I'll parallel the bank. I'll get my kayak all the way up against the bank and I'll parallel the bank. And I don't have a problem with getting snagged because I know I can get my kayak up to it. I can shake it off. I can get a lure retriever over top of it and knock it down, or get it down and knock it off and that kind of stuff. So I'm not, it's if I can get to it is when I'm going to throw it. I don't mind getting it snagged, but from the bank, there's just so many things like trees and stuff that are in the way where 9 times out of 10, you can't get to the bait to knock it off. And with a lure retriever, all you got to do is get over top of it and drop it down, and you can 9 times out of 10 knock your crankbait off. So Vivek or Trump? Who the heck is Vivek? And if I don't know who, I don't know who Vivek is. Oh, what's up, Flute Master? Thanks for using my Striker 6.0. Good seeing you at Jimbo's Expo and the Classic. Awesome, brother. It's a great bait, man. So, Greg Mosier, I don't even know, man. He says best bait to fish after a heavy storm with about half a foot of visibility. Water temp is close to 80. I'm gonna throw. First thing that popped into my head was something loud, so like a rattle trap or a big buzz bait or something, and then fish real close to cover. But typically, after a heavy storm, the bite shuts down for a while. So. But microphone wants to be on the show. Yes, it does. For sure. All right, guys, I'm going to end this a little bit early. I got company that just showed up. I hate to do that, but I want to visit for just a little bit. But I really appreciate you guys joining me. They're going to do this again next Friday night. And I got a really good video that I filmed this week that I got to sit down and edit about glide baits. I had a glide bait expert teach me how to fish a glide bait, and I filmed it. So I can't wait to show you guys that when it comes out. It's going to be, we touched on things that I've never heard in a video. So you guys stay tuned for that. It'll be sometime next week. It's got a lot of parts and pieces to it. So I've got to put it all together. So it's not as easy as the ones I do on my own. So we'll see how fast I can edit it. But like I always say, be sure to introduce somebody to fishing. Introduce them to my channel. Let me help you teach them how to fish. More important, get out of the water, go out and catch some fish, and have a great day. We'll see you.